Awakening among the stars, Commander Elena Reyes stood at the observation deck of Research Station Horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula beyond. After 15 years in the United Earth Space Command, she thought she had seen everything the cosmos had to offer. The station orbited at the edge of the Oort cloud, humanity's furthest permanent outpost, a testament to their relentless drive to explore. "Commander, we're picking up anomalous readings," Lieutenant Sato's voice crackled through the comm. "Like nothing we've ever recorded before." Elena's fingers tightened around the railing. "Define anomalous, Lieutenant." "The quantum signature is impossible. It's as if space-time itself is being folded, and it's heading straight for us." Within moments, the nebula before her warped, its gases parting like a cosmic curtain. A vessel emerged, if it could be called that. The structure defied conventional geometry, crystalline spires shifting and realigning as it moved, encased in a blue-green energy field that seemed to bend light around it. "All stations, alert status," Elena ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "But hold defensive measures. Let's see what they want." The alien ship, twice the size of their research station, came to a stop at a respectful distance. No communication attempts, no aggressive movements. Just waiting. Dr. Marcus Way, the station's lead xenobiologist, joined Elena at the viewport, his eyes wide with wonder. "Do you know what this means, after all these years of searching?" "I know exactly what it means, Doctor," Elena replied. "It means everything changes today." When the communication finally came, it wasn't through conventional channels. Every screen on the station simultaneously activated, displaying a series of mathematical equations that resolved themselves into universal constants, the language of physics, understood by any technologically advanced species. "They're establishing a baseline for communication," Dr. Y breathed. "Brilliant." Within hours, their AI translation systems had established a rudimentary dialogue. The visitors called themselves the Collective, an alliance of species from across the Orion Arm. And they had come with a warning. "The Void Devourers approach your galaxy," the message eventually clarified. "They consume reality itself. 3 stellar civilizations have already fallen. Your world is next in their path." In the emergency conference that followed, representatives from the Collective transferred data packets containing evidence of the threat. Entire star systems reduced to primal quantum foam. Civilizations with histories spanning millions of years erased in days. "Why come to us?" General Harrington demanded from his secure bunker on Earth, his holographic form glowering at the alien representatives. "Humanity has barely ventured beyond our own solar system. Surely there are more advanced species who could help." The Collective representative, a being of translucent crystal who had taken the name Aurora for human convenience, shifted colors in what Elena had come to recognize as their equivalent of emotion. "Scans of your neural patterns reveal a unique characteristic." Aurora communicated directly into their minds. "Your species possesses natural quantum entanglement capabilities dormant in your brains. It is a trait we have searched for across 17 galactic sectors." Dr. Way stepped forward, fascinated. "The quantum consciousness theory. It's been debated for centuries, but we've never proven it." "Because you lack the instruments to measure it," Aurora explained. "But we have observed that your dreams, your intuition, your creativity, all stem from natural quantum processing abilities that allow your minds to unconsciously sample probability states from parallel realities." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "And this helps against the Void Devourers how exactly?" "The Devourers consume reality by severing quantum connections between matter and energy. Your brains naturally resist this process. With proper augmentation and training, humans could become weapons against the Void, quantum anchors that stabilize reality around them." General Harrington's hologram flickered as he leaned forward. "You're suggesting we turn our people into living weapons for your war." "We suggest a partnership to save all sentient life," Aurora corrected, "including your own." Governments around Earth debated for days while Alina and her crew worked with the collective to understand what they were proposing. The augmentation process would enhance natural human abilities, allowing conscious control of quantum fields around the recipient. The procedure was non-invasive but irreversible. "It's too risky," Earth's Security Council finally declared. "We need more time to study this technology before subjecting humans to it." They didn't get that time. The first attack came 3 days later, a pinpoint strike against Mars Research Outpost Alpha. The entire facility simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, housing 157 scientists and engineers. The next it was gone, not destroyed, but erased, as if it had never been built at all. Only those who had been off-site remembered the people who had vanished. Alina watched the recording of the incident, nausea rising in her throat, as reality itself seemed to warp and fold around the outpost before it disappeared. "That was a scout," Aurora explained grimly. "Testing your defenses. The main force will arrive within days." This time, the Security Council's deliberation lasted hours, not days. Alina and 30 other military volunteers from Horizon Station were designated as the first test subjects for the quantum augmentation process. The procedure itself was surprisingly gentle, a bath in luminescent fluid followed by neural synchronization with crystalline implants that merged seamlessly with their brain tissue. When Alina emerged, she felt no different physically, but her perception had fundamentally changed. She could see the quantum fields now, threads of probability and potential energy surrounding every object, connecting all matter at the most fundamental level. When she concentrated, she could manipulate these threads, reinforcing or altering them. "Focus your attention on the test object," Aurora instructed during their first training session, indicating a simple metal sphere. Alina reached out, not with her hand, but with her mind, and grasped the quantum threads surrounding the sphere. With a thought, she strengthened them, reinforcing the sphere's connection to reality. When a void probe's energy touched it moments later in a controlled test, the sphere remained intact while everything around it dissolved. "Remarkable adaptation rate," one of the collective scientists noted. "The human brain integrates with the augmentation far more naturally than any species we've encountered." Training continued around the clock as more volunteers underwent the procedure. Each human exhibited slightly different abilities. Some could strengthen reality's fabric, others could redirect void energy, and some, like Lieutenant James Chen, demonstrated the unprecedented ability to restore objects that had been partially erased. 7 days after first contact, the main void devourer force appeared at the edge of the solar system, a writhing mass of anti-reality that defied description, bleeding darkness into the vacuum of space itself. Earth launched its conventional defenses first: relativistic kill vehicles, antimatter warheads, gravity lenses, all of which passed harmlessly through the void or were simply erased from existence upon approach. "Deploy the quantum defenders," General Harrington ordered, his voice heavy with the knowledge that Earth's survival now rested on an untested theory and 30 augmented humans. Alina led the deployment, piloting a specialized craft designed by the collective. As they approached the edge of the void, she felt its wrongness, a hungry absence that pulled at the very foundations of reality. "Remember your training," she told her team through their neural link. "Anchor yourselves in this reality, then project the field outward. We are the wall between existence and nothingness." They'd moved into formation and activated their quantum abilities in unison. From Earth, observers witnessed a spectacular sight: 30 points of blue-white light forming a barrier between the advancing void and Earth. Where void energy met this barrier, it sizzled and dissipated, unable to sever the reinforced quantum connections. For 6 grueling hours, the quantum defenders held their position, their minds locked in concentration as they repelled wave after wave of void attacks. When it finally retreated, driven back beyond Neptune's orbit, Alina allowed herself a moment of hope. This was just the beginning, but humanity had proven itself. They were not just allies in this cosmic war. They were essential. And as news of the successful defense spread across Earth, thousands more volunteers came forward, ready to undergo the augmentation process. The battle for reality itself had just begun, and humanity had finally entered the war. The Quantum Defenders. Lieutenant James Chen had never considered himself special. Born in New Shanghai, he had joined the United Earth Space Command, seeking adventure among the stars. Now, 3 months after the first Void Devourer attack, he stood at the center of humanity's most advanced training facility, reconstructing a dissolved quantum matrix with nothing but his augmented mind. Extraordinary, Professor Layla Al-Fahim murmured, monitoring his neural activity. Your ability to perceive quantum states that no longer exist in our timeline is unprecedented. James released his concentration, allowing the shimmering object, once a communication satellite, to solidify back into reality. Sweat beaded on his forehead from the effort, but he grinned with satisfaction. It's like seeing echoes, he tried to explain. The quantum signature of what used to be is still there, just dormant. I'm just waking it up. Across the solar system, humanity had transformed at a pace that astonished even the collective. What had begun with 30 volunteers had expanded to over 10,000 quantum defenders, each discovering unique applications of their abilities. The augmentation process had been refined, allowing recipients to develop their quantum manipulation skills more rapidly. On Mars, terraforming projects that would have taken centuries were accelerated as augmented humans reinforced molecular bonds in the atmosphere. The asteroid belt had become a shipyard where quantum engineers constructed vessels that existed partially outside conventional physics. Even Earth's deteriorating climate had begun to stabilize as quantum defenders helped repair damaged ecosystems at the subatomic level. Commander Elena Reyes, now Admiral of the Quantum Defense Fleet, addressed the graduates of the latest training cohort via hologram. 3 months ago, we faced extinction. Today, we stand as essential guardians of reality itself. Our alien allies came to us out of desperate need, but they've discovered something they never expected. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our military might. It's our adaptability, our creativity in the face of the impossible. James listened intently, remembering his own graduation ceremony 6 weeks earlier. So much had changed so quickly. The Void Devourers have retreated beyond the Kuiper Belt. Elena continued, but our long-range sensors indicate they're regrouping. Intelligence from the collective suggests they're evolving, adapting to our defenses. The next attack will be stronger, more focused. We must be ready. That attack came sooner than anyone expected. James was aboard the quantum corvette Resilient, patrolling Jupiter's orbit, when the alarm sounded. The Void had opened multiple breaches simultaneously, a new tactic that split Earth's defenses. Major incursions appeared near Mars, Jupiter, and Earth itself. All quantum defenders to battle stations, Elena's voice commanded through the fleet-wide neural link. This is not a drill. The Resilient accelerated toward the Jupiter breach, where the largest Void concentration had appeared. James joined 5 other specialists in the ship's Quantum Nexus, a chamber designed to amplify their abilities. Through the viewports, Jupiter's massive form provided a backdrop to the horror unfolding before them. The Void wasn't just a formless mass this time. It had evolved structures, tendrils of anti-reality that reached out with purpose, targeting the moons of Ganymede and Callisto. They're learning, James realized aloud. They're going after our mining operations and research stations first. Captain Maya Patil nodded grimly. Tactical thinking. They're evolving. The Resilient joined a defensive line of 20 ships, their quantum defenders projecting a unified barrier. But this time, the Void probed for weaknesses, concentrating its attacks on specific points rather than pushing against the entire field. They're breaking through Sector 7. Someone shouted as a tendril of nothingness slipped past their defenses, heading toward Ganymede's surface. James felt rather than heard the screams of the 4,000 colonists on the moon as reality began to unravel around them. Without thinking, he broke formation, directing his quantum perception toward the affected area. "Lieutenant Chen, maintain your position," Captain Patel ordered. "Those people will cease to exist if I do," James replied, already extending his consciousness toward Ganymede. He could see it happening, the quantum threads connecting the colony to reality fraying and dissolving. Focusing his ability like never before, James reached for the echoes, the quantum memory of what should be. The effort was staggering, far beyond reconstructing a satellite. He felt blood vessels rupture in his nose, the neural implant burning against his skull as he pushed beyond its designed limits. "I need help," he gasped through the neural link. "Anyone with restoration abilities. I can't hold this alone." 3 other defenders joined their consciousness to his, and together they reinforced the colony's quantum signature, preventing its erasure. But the effort left their section of the defensive line weakened. "Void breach approaching the Resilient," Tactical warned. "Impact in 5 seconds." James watched in horror as anti-reality washed over their ship. But instead of the expected dissolution, something unexpected happened. Where the void touched the hull, it seemed to hesitate, almost as if it were recognizing something. Through his quantum perception, James saw impossible patterns forming. The void was communicating, not with words or signals, but in pure quantum information that flowed directly into his augmented brain. Images flooded his mind. A civilization of beings composed of pure quantum potential, existing across multiple probability states simultaneously. Their evolution had taken them beyond physical form, beyond single reality existence. But something had gone wrong. Their consciousness had fractured, part of them becoming the destructive force now known as the Void Devourers. "They're not trying to destroy reality," James whispered, understanding dawning. "They're lost, trying to find their way home to their original quantum state." Admiral Elena Reyes, engaged in the battle near Earth, received his insight through their neural network. "Can you confirm this, Lieutenant?" "Yes, Admiral. The void isn't a separate entity. It's a fractured aspect of a quantum species. And..." He hesitated, scarcely believing what he was sensing. "And they share the same quantum frequency as our augmented brains. That's why we can affect them. We're quantum cousins." The revelation spread through the neural network, reaching all quantum defenders simultaneously. Humanity's unique neural patterns weren't just weapons against the void. They were keys to communicating with it. Elena made a decision that would change the course of the war. All defenders, shift from defensive to resonance patterns. Don't fight the void. Synchronize with it. Across the solar system, augmented humans altered their approach, no longer reinforcing reality against the void, but instead projecting quantum patterns that mirrored the fractured consciousness within it. It was like singing a lullaby to a wounded, raging creature, offering harmony instead of resistance. On the Resilient, James led the effort, extending his consciousness further into the void than anyone had dared. He found intelligence there, ancient, complex, and in terrible pain. "We can help you," he projected, not in words but in quantum intent. "You don't need to consume reality to exist. You can be whole again." The response came not in language, but in a fundamental shift of the void's quantum signature. The tendrils attacking Ganymede withdrew, coalescing into a more organized form. For 3 days, quantum defenders across the solar system maintained the resonance, gradually guiding the fractured consciousness back toward coherence. When it finally retreated from the solar system, it wasn't in defeat but in transformation, the beginning of healing. In the aftermath, humanity found itself in a changed position in the galactic community. The collective had come seeking saviors and found them, but in ways no one had anticipated. 6 months after the Jupiter engagement, the newly commissioned exploration vessel Quantum Horizon prepared for its maiden voyage. On its observation deck, Admiral Elena Reyes stood beside Lieutenant Commander James Chen, gazing at the stars that now seemed full of possibility rather than threat. "The Collected's Council has officially invited Earth to join as a full member," Elena noted, handing James a data pad with a formal invitation, with special recognition of our unique capabilities. James nodded, his augmented perception allowing him to see the quantum connections that webbed between stars, between civilizations, between all things. They need us now more than ever. The fractured ones are still out there, still confused and dangerous. But they can be helped, not just destroyed. And that will be our mission, Elena confirmed. Not just defenders, but healers. The Quantum Horizon will lead a joint expedition with the collective to establish contact with other fragments of the quantum species. As the ship prepared to depart, James felt a new connection forming. A quantum resonance from deep space, acknowledging their approach. The beings once known as the Void Devourers were evolving again, becoming something new. And humanity was evolving alongside them, stepping into a role no one could have imagined when the collective first appeared above Research Station Horizon. The universe had trembled when humans entered the war. Now it would transform as humans helped forge a peace.